any idea which can help devotees in their spiritual life and make Krishna consciousness accessible. No idea was too small or too big that it could not be explored. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami is a perfect disciple of a perfect spiritual master. His thoughts, words and actions were always contemplating how to serve his spiritual master. By himself going through the motions, His Holiness was constantly educating us, those around him, how to 24/7 keep our minds engaged in Krishna conscious activities and serve our spiritual master and Krishna. Always remember him and never forget him. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bharat Prabhu. Very heartfelt offering. Deeper insights into Guru Maharaj's activities and his thoughts and how he turned those thoughts into applications. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for those wonderful pastimes that you personally observed so deeply, and how Guru Maharaj was so absorbed in understanding applications. How a small incident like observing the yacht can turn his mind into how to apply that in Panihati. Such a wonderful example. How can we imbibe these teachings of such an elevated Vaishnava is up to us. How we can utilize today to contemplate each one of these pastimes that will come across to us. How can we be so attentive to hear everyone's offering, because it is coming straight from the heart, their own personal observations, realizations. So there is very deep meaning to this day. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Is Prabhash Prabhu here yet? Okay, Prabhash Prabhu is not here. We'll request Krishna Mohan Prabhu, His Grace Krishna Mohan Prabhu, to please come in and read his offering for Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna. Namong Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Putale Srimadi Bhakti Charu Maharaj Namine Stinka Chata Shupranata Bhaktinam Charasha Purutam Prabhavata Pranam Bhakti Charu Padam Namong Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Putale Srimadi Bhakti Vedanta Shamite Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharina Nirvishesha Shunavadi Prachata Dashatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Aditya Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, I like the offering actually combined. Probably Honorable might, she can share some her realization. Hare Krishna, dear Srila Gurudev. Please accept our humble obeisances at your divine lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you on this auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja. We pray at your lotus feet that we can be of good service in your legacy of Krishna consciousness. Is the last 14 years, 17 September is a very important for me, and the whole year actually counting down. Last 14 years, 17 September is a fixed. This is my one kind of like a big festive for me. Yeah, I think since 2007 or 8, maybe 15 years. Yeah. So today, 17 September is very significant for all the conditioned souls in the world. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, arrived in US in 1965. On that day, he came to deliver Krishna consciousness to the Western world. He fulfilled Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's predictions, spreading Harinam Sankirtan every town and village in this world. Srila Prabhupada has made an organization, ISKCON, in which whole world can live. Last 10 years of his life transformed impossible tasks to possible. On top of that very short period, he made thousands of disciples. Out of thousands of disciples, Srila Prabhupada made many pure Vaishnavas as sannyasis to carrying out Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's missions. We were fortunate enough to take shelter with one of his pure disciples, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He is now considered one of the greatest Acharya of ISKCON. This is the greatest gift we have received in this lifetime. We vividly remember when it was late morning, I think 2011 probably, yeah. And we were both rushing to see you for shelter under your lotus feet. You sacrificed more than half an hour for us. We shared the many material conditions that would be cause disturbance towards our regular sadhana. In return, you had given us concise advice on how we should advance and overcome these matters. We had then come to the realization that you had taken away all the obstacles which we had shared with you. You showed us the simple way of how to carry out our regular sadhana. Since then, we have recognized that your Barney has always played a great role in our lives. Your instruction and customs have become an integral part of our bhakti life. We try to follow your example by serving Vaishnavas as you like, cooking to your appreciated taste, and singing your melodic kirtan. By listening to your insight lecture, harmonious kirtan and bhajan, our days become more blissful and provide us spiritual motivation and strength. Our two daughters, since a very early age, have been growing up under your lotus feet and mercy. They are always dependent on your mercy to continue their sadhana. We will never forget your physical presence through our personal experience with you. You are still alive in our hearts. Please give us the strength so that we can continue to follow your instruction. Also, we are determined to serve and spread your legacy and Srila Prabhupada missions. You are forever our well-wisher, and we are eternally grateful for your kindness. Your humble servants, Krishna Mohan Das and Kandava Sundari. And she might share her relation. Thank you.
Hare Krishna everyone, Hare Krishna Gurudev, Krishna Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Vishnu Bhutali Samati Bhakti Charu Samiti Namini, Stingu Chetta Shupraneta Bhagvinam Chara Shapratam Prabhupada Vata Pranam Bhakti Charu Padam, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Vishnu Vedanta Samiti Namaste Shastati Gaurvani Pachayani, Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pashyato Deshatayani. Hare Krishna. I just will say something what I feel sometimes that's maybe not that much professional or something like that, but just like do that. Gurudev, I have so many desire was, but so many desire was fulfilled. I don't know how, but I did. I had one couple of desire that I like to go Ujjain. I like to see you going to from the temple to your quarter. There is one passage in Ujjain temple. You throwing the galan every time when you go your apartment. All galan, everyone jump up to catch that galan. My desire was, I don't know, somehow happened. The desire. I never thought desire will be fulfilled my one, but it is happened. I was in 2017 in Ujjain. I was not sure you coming that time Ujjain or not, but after that I find out yes, you are coming. And another desire was, when you come, everyone make the like your path full of flower and decoration flower. That desire was my one. Is I will do that flower, the everyone. And then Ujjain, when I was there, I was jump up. Whole day I was spent there. Everyone except me, like I live in Ujjain, like that. And we are wait, and when we come, everyone like, I can explain that one in my word. So much that desire my fulfill. I saw you coming with that, and you can remember everyone. You talk to me on that time, just Kandarpa, you hear? And I just over the moon that time. And the galan when he's throwing, and so many children, and I'm just grown up lady, old lady. But I don't want to hold myself to, okay, I'm not going. I just like to go with children. And I like to hold one gallon, and I did that. That desire was mine, and I was so happy to hold that gallon. So I have something like that, my achievement. That feeling is so, give me so much pleasure. But when the Sydney, you come, always I count for this, when you're coming, and what I will do, I always list. I will do this, I will cook this, I will cook the first day, I will cook this, second day I will cook this. That list, I made it up every time. Now this day, I can't do that, but I do at home. I talk to you every morning when I do that, and you know that. I talk to you every morning what I cook. I tell you this, I cook this, and please accept it. And maybe you say something, sometimes it's not well, then I feel, oh, Guru Maharaj didn't like it. I need to do better. That's all I feel all the time. Your instruction always comes up on my ear. That I had another, that when I sleep at night time every day, my routine is morning I talk to you, and then night time I listen one lecture before I sleep. Even I bed, I just listen and then go to sleep. Every day I talk to you, that's the way. Please, I learned that one, the prayer. Prayer means is you talking to who you praying, and you is conversation. That my understanding is prayer. Then I do every day. I do Krishna, I do Srila Prabhupada, and I do every day. I don't miss any day to talk to you. This is my prayer. Please accept me, and please bless me. Then I can continue and serve you, and serve your devotee, and serve Prabhupada mission. That's all my desire. That's it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna Mohan Prabhu and Kandarpa Mataji. Wonderful offering. Mataji and Prabhu have special relationship with Guru Maharaj, like all the disciples, but Prabhu and Mataji have really very deep desire, always absorbed in Krishna consciousness and always absorbed in Guru Maharaj consciousness. I can see that. Thank you so much. I'll request now His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu to please come in, and importance of memorial festival, and also a few words about Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Prabhu.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्ताय बुतले श्रीमती भक्ति चारु स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्ताय बुतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी। Paschatya Desha Tarine. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj Vyasa Puja Mahotsav ki jai. Hare Krishna. It is said that even a momentary association of a sadhu is very rare, and we all have had this great opportunity to be with Maharaj, to hear about him, to be in his physical presence. And then some of us may be thinking, we don't have the physical presence anymore. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he performed his pastimes, and simply by remembering those pastimes, one gets protected. So extending that understanding here, we all were very fortunate. We can only count on our fortune. As it goes, even in our material understanding, we don't understand the value of something until we lose it. But then, I was just hearing when Kandarpa Mataji was giving her realizations, how she actually offers the prayers, feels connected. Srila Sanatana Goswami, he says, when he describes about the separations of gopis, how they felt for Krishna, she says, as rather he says, if you take water and then you reduce the temperature, at some point it becomes cold. And then you keep reducing it, it becomes ice. Now you go sub-zero, you keep on reducing the temperature at one point, it comes to be known as dry ice. But he says, surprise, surprise, even though you keep reducing the temperature, it goes to a point when you would expect it to go extreme cold. But he says it becomes, the coldness becomes so extreme, it reverses its quality. Actually, dry ice becomes very hot, he says. He uses this analogy to explain how our union with Krishna becomes so much more deep, so much more connected in full separation of him. Because in the presence, it's very easy for us to take it for granted. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, the chances of one missing the train is more if he lives closer to the station. The more closer one lives to the station, general psychology, right? It's just here, I'll go. I always tease the devotees living nearby. You are the ones who miss. You think, I'll just hear the conch and I'll come. And that includes even devotees upstairs. We keep on doing things. First conch, run away. And you just run. So, he says the one who lives close to the station, chances are more for the person to miss the train than the one living far away. Because the one who lives far away, they would think, I better go early. I may get stuck in traffic. I may do so many things there in between. It's the same way, here we are associated with a servant of Srila Prabhupada, a very dear servant of Srila Prabhupada. And he created all this Leela. He made us to be part of the Leela. And we can only feel more and more connected simply remembering about it. Those feeling how fortunate we are. How fortunate that I received a garland. I was like hearing, I was also thinking. And all of us think we are very special, right? I also feel. I'm not his disciple, but he gave me Maha garland. I'm not his disciple, but he gave me a hug. You know, you think like that. And that's the most defining quality of Maharaj. I remember in one initiation lecture here, and I heard that actually almost in every initiation lecture. Normally when a disciple goes and takes shelter, spiritual master will give the name and then they would ask them to pay obeisances. I remember in one initiation when I was here, the person comes and then Maharaj asked the devotee to say what are the regulative principles, what will you do? And the devotee recites. And then Maharaj says, See, I know only Prabhupada. So, I initiate you, and I take the responsibility of taking you to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. That's all. And I heard it first time, I thought like, wow, that's, Srila Prabhupada says, this is the proper mood of a spiritual master. That they never think I did it great. They always think everyone who is sent to the spiritual master as being sent as help by their own spiritual master to carry out the mission. So here Maharaj, he repeatedly emphasizes on our allegiance to Prabhupada, on our chastity to ISKCON movement. In one place Maharaj says, ISKCON, he says, sometimes people think, why should I be part of ISKCON? I'm doing everything, I don't need to be. But then he says, ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's body, BBT is Srila Prabhupada's heart. And he says, how can you neglect the body? This is Prabhupada's body. So that's why he famously says, no matter what happens, don't leave ISKCON. It's very important. It's very easy to take it for granted. It's just an organization. It's just yet another institution, yet another spiritual organization. It's easy. But just like how the Dham, when we go to the holy place, the Dham is non-different from Krishna. We offer respects to the Dham. Same way, ISKCON as an organization is Srila Prabhupada's body. In one place, Prabhupada is saying in a conversation, I told to Krishna about ISKCON. And then the devotees around, they are very curious. What did Krishna say? He said, Krishna started to laugh out loud and he said, that's a good idea. So, when we think about Maharaj, each one of us, we can just close our eyes and we can meditate on the qualities. As it said, like father, like son. When you look at Srila Prabhupada, one day Prabhupada, he signs a check to one of his disciples and says, okay, take it to the bank to pay for a publisher. And at that time, the devotee looks at the signature and Prabhupada looks at him, admiring Prabhupada's signature, and he smiles. And he says, you like my signature? He says, like, yes, Prabhupada. Yeah, I had a professor, Scottish professor, even he used to say, your signature is like that of an aristocrat. Yeah, my signature is nice. Prabhupada says himself. So when you look at Srila Prabhupada, even when he walks, he has that gait of an aristocratic person, slightly head tilted up. Now when you look at Maharaj, you will have the same trait of aristocracy. How many of you felt? How many of you feel the same way? Like father, like son. So everything which Srila Prabhupada said, he just exemplified and he taught. I see some of you are chanting in this room. I'll tell you something Maharaj said about chanting during class. One devotee was chanting and then Maharaj stopped the class in this temple room and he said, when you chant, you are offending the holy name and you are offending Krishna, both. Maharaj was speaking on Bhagavatam and Maharaj said, you are neither honoring Bhagavatam nor are you honoring the holy name properly. Okay, now I'm seeing the hands coming out. Thank you. Simple things, but we'll never forget. We all know, but we don't know how to put it. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, there are three aspects of Krishna consciousness. Namaruchi, Jivadoya and Vaishnava Seva. Namaruchi means we need to spend our time developing taste for the holy name. And we can see Namaruchi, Jivadoya means we need to show mercy to people who are yet to come to Krishna consciousness. And Vaishnava Seva means we need to serve devotees who are already in Krishna consciousness. So this way he covers everyone. Recently I was reading a quote of Srila Prabhupada on chanting. If you chant attentively, success will come soon, even in this lifetime. But if you chant neglectfully, success takes time. I'll repeat again. If you chant neglectfully, success takes time. But if you chant carefully, success will come soon, even in this lifetime. Even in this lifetime means we don't even need to die. The perfection can come to us like no, tomorrow, day after, and the day after. So Maharaj, when you actually see how he chants, you can simply hear, and there are many times devotees ask how to do attentive chanting, mind goes here, there. And I have seen this advice given by Maharaj on few occasions, and it will go to show how for everything he was just thinking about Prabhupada. So one devotee was asking about, Maharaj, my mind is going here, there, what should I do when I chant? He said, no problem. Do you have Srila Prabhupada's japa tape? Play it and chant with Prabhupada. That's his answer. I have tried it, it works. You feel very secure in the presence of Srila Prabhupada, and you will feel same level of security in the presence of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. When he is there, you feel like, okay, things are under control. I remember hearing one offering which Maharaj gave when Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he disappeared from this planet, from our mundane vision. He was glorifying Maharaj, saying, oh Maharaj, you left us. When Srila Prabhupada left, at that time we thought, okay, at least Tamal Krishna Maharaj is there. He will give us shelter. Now you have also gone, where will we go and take shelter? I was speaking to one sannyasi recently means like maybe 3-4 months ago. He was actually quoting this statement of Maharaj, and he said, and as he was saying, he was choking up and he was saying, this is what Maharaj said about Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And he was saying, I was there when he said that, and I had the same feeling about Maharaj now. Maharaj, now you have also left, where will I take the shelter? Very rare to come across personalities who can give shelter to everyone, not just to devotees. I remember first time when he actually came, our leadership team actually presented, this is like not first time, many times, but I'm saying, when I joined the temple, I remember, first time, 2010-11. And at that time, devotees presented all the preaching activities that's happening, everything. Maharaj sat through the whole presentation without saying a word. And after hearing everything, he said, so what's the plan for reaching out to Westerners? That was his only statement. And then he added, if you're not preaching to Westerners, that means you're not doing anything. And that was it. That was the conclusion of the 1 hour presentation. And then a few days later, we had a darshan with Maharaj in Satyamarani Mataji's home. So he had a class with the brahmacharis. And then he asked us what service you're all doing. Then we said, we are distributing books. And then he said, definitely, Prabhupada will be very, very pleased. But also take it that if you distribute books, there are so many books that has actually gone. We also need to do some follow-up. See if you can do something for Western outreach. That was our first seed instruction. Until that point, honestly, I never thought about preaching. Like, I was with Bharashrestha Prabhu for 2 years. Prabhu took care of me like his brother. Every single day cooking, focusing, okay, you preach, I'll support. And then I used to tell Prabhu that, Prabhu, I'll just join the temple and I'll distribute books. And that's all our thought process is. We don't think anything beyond. But then Maharaj, when I joined the temple, Maharaj said, there are a lot of books that are out there. See if you can do something to actually extend it further. So we thought, okay, Maharaj is saying we should do something. That's when we started university preaching, and now we are happy to say we have close to 60 local devotees that are actively part of our yatra, actually. So it's just a vision. Somebody desires that, and they give the instruction. Along with the instruction comes the empowerment. Whoever takes it, they take the glory. Jiva Doya. Maharaj, when he actually chants, Srila Prabhupada actually says in one letter, he writes to Brahmananda Prabhu, when you chant Hare Krishna, you don't need to exert so much. You don't chant in such a way that you'll get tired after 10 minutes. He says you chant so that you can keep on chanting forever. This is instruction of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada gives very specific instructions. easily understandable by everyone. So when you chant, you keep on chanting in such a way so that you can just keep on chanting forever. So if we keep that in mind, then we won't exert ourselves. We'll just keep singing in mode of goodness. Otherwise, it's very easy to go, nay, tai, tap, tap. You just, very easy. And we can't sustain it. Now when you hear Maharaj's Kirtan, when he sings, and if you had opportunity, if you heard his japa, it will go like this at a steady pace, without exerting. You can just close your eyes and you can just hear. You can keep on hearing. Be it bhajan, be it kirtan, be it class. I remember Varanaka Prabhu once glorified Maharaj in his presence that, Maharaj, we have heard about Srila Prabhupada from his disciples that whatever Srila Prabhupada, whatever complicated that is there in the Shastras, Prabhupada was able to speak in such a way that it's understandable even for people who have no idea about Krishna consciousness. And Varanaka Prabhu glorified Maharaj that after hearing his class, saying, now we can appreciate how you all would have felt in the presence of Srila Prabhupada. Like father, like son. They carry the same thing. I remember in my uni days, when I was preparing for interview, campus interview. At that time they had training session for us. And one of the instructions we were taught was, whatever you speak, you don't try to impress. You speak things in a simple way. In fact, one's expertise in a subject will be shown by how simple they can explain. You take the experts in any field, they'll be able to explain complex things in a very, very simple way. You can see Srila Prabhupada and you can see His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Before we do preparation for, I have spoken to many preachers also, and I can personally vouch, before we start thinking about, okay, we want to give a seminar on a certain topic or we want to talk about a certain topic, first place we'll always search is bhakticharuswami.com. All glories to the devotees who are transcribing the lectures also there. Very, very active. So we go through that, because if Maharaj has said something, you hear, becomes easy. Vaishnava Seva. Maharaj gave shelter to so many of his god brothers. And in every sense, praner, arther, diya, vacha, be it in fundraising, be it in giving personal time in any crisis, be it giving their inputs, how you should actually run any particular yatra. Whichever yatra he goes, Maharaj always works closely with the management. Even if the manager is actually not around, he'll still make sure he goes, catches them, and he'll do. I remember a couple of times I got caught like that. Initiation was going on. I was running around moving and he called me, come here. Then I came in and he said, sit down here. You are the leader of the yatra. They are like your prajas. So you need to be here. They are getting initiated. I said, okay, Maharaj, I won't move. And then I'm getting missed call. Prabhu, where is the chair? I'm like, I cannot move now. Another instance I remember, that was Maharaj's last visit. When he came out, he stopped there and then he spoke to me. And then he called Satyamarani Mataji and she said, so what did he say? How the current temple management is? He remembers everything. So he is very, very affable, very, very approachable for everyone, not just managers, for anyone. He has the time. And as Kandarpa Mataji was actually saying, I had that experience. Once in Mayapur, we was there, GBC meeting was happening, and there were like hundreds of devotees there. He won't even call you, he just comes to you directly. And he says, is everything going all right? Yes, Maharaj. And you feel you are taking up so much of his time, you feel you are disturbing his schedule. But no, he had all the time of his life for every single personality he comes across. So we can see, simply by remembering Maharaj, we can see the qualities which Srila Prabhupada asked us to inculcate. We can see the qualities Srila Prabhupada himself has demonstrated. And we can see how Maharaj is an embodiment of all those instructions and qualities, and he made sure. I remember reading one of his Vyasa Puja offering, and he's openly telling to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, all the instructions we have given, this is like almost like 10 years ago, I have already fulfilled, I'm ready. Ready for what? I'm ready to go with you. This is what he's saying. And you can understand, we are all thinking on a certain platform, but Maharaj is on a completely different platform. Anything he did, it was simply for pleasing Srila Prabhupada, and he's telling, I finished already, Prabhupada, all of them, so I'm ready to join you wherever you take me, in whichever Nitya Leela. So we can only feel fortunate, and we can, remembering all these qualities, remembering all this Leela, as Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu protected us all by performing all this Leela. Likewise, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he gave us his association, he made us to be part of his Leela, so now we can remember and take shelter of that Leela, and we can think, we can only pinch ourselves, and we can only feel grateful for the costless fortune we all inherited by being in that momentary association of such an exalted sadhu, exalted servant of Srila Prabhupada. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.
His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu ki. Jai, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. That was such an inspiring reflection of Guru Maharaj. I feel like I've woken up from the slumber. Thank you so much. That was so wonderfully put. How you connected Guru Maharaj with Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So many memories are so live, like you said, momentary association. How many of us, just raise your hand, had some association of Guru Maharaj? And don't feel embarrassed if you don't. Many of you, look at that, maybe half the room. That is so wonderful. And as Prabhu said, as a leader, he was making himself available for everyone. And his simplicity, so many qualities Prabhu covered. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I made some good notes for reading later as well. Thank you. Okay. So now we'll request Prabhash Prabhu to come and please offer your offerings for Guru Maharaj.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णभक्ताभूतले भक्ति चारु स्वामी सिंह चेता स्वप्नितां च सप्तम कृपागतापं भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी. His Grace Ghanshyam Puja already glorified Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj was such a personality, as every one of us knows that. He was true replica of, to some extent, of Srila Prabhupada. And many of disciples, they have mentioned this thing, that he had those qualities of Srila Prabhupada. I have only few words for Guru Maharaj. As Ghanshyam Prabhu was telling, when he is here, we take it for granted. And that is the thing we should always remember, that you have got the association, take the full advantage of that. Guru Maharaj is here with us with all the time. His instructions are there with us. We need to meditate on his instructions. We need to go through his Vani and feel presence in our lives. Few of the instructions that he had given, that never leave ISKCON. And this is very important thing, that we always remember that no matter what happens, don't leave ISKCON. ISKCON is not like any other spiritual organization. ISKCON is very different. ISKCON is based fully on Sanatana Dharma principles, where we not only worship Lord Radha and Krishna, but also all Guru Parampara is worshipped here. So the full mercy of all the Guru Parampara as well as the Lord is there with us. This you don't find anywhere in other organization. Have you seen any other temple they have got the Guru Parampara to be worshipped? Probably not. So ISKCON is very different. And the mercy of Sri Radha Gopinath and Lord Krishna is always there with all the devotees. I have not seen any devotees who have joined with our Bhakti Charu group and they have left it. In fact, it is growing more and more. And I'm pretty sure the ISKCON movement is spreading like a fire. People are realizing the Kali Yuga train is coming very fast to you. And if you want to come out from the miseries of Kali Yuga, you need to take the ISKCON train. Then you will be free from these miseries. Otherwise, nobody will be spared. As we know that Kali Yuga at the end, people's life will be only 30 years. People will start taking their own lives. Situation will be that bad. And you have already started. People commit suicide. Why they commit suicide? Because there is no peace. Where you can get peace? Until unless you take Krishna's name, there is no peace. Bhoktaram yaktapsham sarvlok mahesharam shuhridaya sarvbhutanam gyatam mam shantim rachati. The peace comes only when you surrender to Krishna. Surrendering to our spiritual master is as good as surrendering to Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that don't worship demigod. He says, Kamas taste ritjnana prapadyante devta tam tam niyamamastha prakritanasa. But what Krishna says in Bhagavatam? That acharyam mam vijaniyam. Acharya is just like me. So ISKCON is following that principle, which is fully based on Sanatana Dharma scripture. So don't treat ISKCON like any other spiritual organization. It's very different. The mercy of the Lord is so much you cannot imagine. In fact, you must have got the test by this time anyway. He always worked for togetherness, that we should cooperate with each other so that ISKCON can grow. And this is very important. In Kali Yuga, people are very, very different minded people are there. It's very difficult that people cooperate with each other. But His Grace, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj was always emphasizing that point. If you want this ISKCON to grow, you must cooperate with each other. Leave it, your own personal benefit, everything aside, and cooperate with each other. Then only this ISKCON can grow. So he was always following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. So I'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki jai, Bhakti Charu Maharaj Vyasa Puja ki jai. And this is on behalf of Prabhas Krishna Das and Her Grace Vandana Mataji. Here you go.
Thank you, Prabhash Prabhu. That was a wonderful reflection on the importance of ISKCON, the mission of ISKCON, how ISKCON can continue to grow and what role each one of us play in that. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your short but very powerful message on this very important day. Thank you, Prabhu. I would now call His Grace Viraj Prabhu, Viraj Krishna Prabhu, to please highlight the importance of this very important day of Srila Prabhupada Memorial Festival and also say a few words about Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. It's so nice to be here and see so many devotees after a long time. As you know, it's very well known, as Prabhu already has mentioned, that His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj was an ISKCON man, an institutional man. We hear that again and again. But he was also much more than that. With personal interactions that I was fortunate to have with him, he was an institutional man but with a heart. And I think all of us who have had interactions with him will agree with that statement. Institution is of no use if we cannot have any empathy with persons coming from different diverse backgrounds and having different diverse views. It is said the Pandavas, they were of different nature, each one of them, but they were united in goal, despite their different nature. The Kauravas were all of the same nature, but their goal was not Krishna, but their own selfish desires. So despite their differences in terms of natures, the Pandavas, their goal was one. So similarly, ISKCON is an institution where we'll find that all different traits of personalities come together. Our Guru Maharaj used to call it square peg, round hole. One who doesn't fit anywhere, bring it here, we will fit it. And that is because of personalities like Bhakti Charu Maharaj, who despite being an institutional man, he had a heart of gold and compassion, that any differences that personalities had amongst them, he was able to touch the soft corner of their hearts and go to the extent of pleading them that you please forsake of Srila Prabhupada, you work together. And it is that compassion of his that actually brought so many devotees, not only so many devotees, but so many leaders also in our movement together. It is glorious that we have had such a soldier of Srila Prabhupada amongst us, and his legacy goes on and on and on. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Viraj Prabhu. That was such a heartfelt offering. You rightly called out, Guru Maharaj was very empathetic, full of empathy, and institutional man with a heart. What you touched upon reminds me when Guru Maharaj was going, I think it was 17th of June 2020, when his health was not well in US, he had just landed. And then he had to be taken to the hospital. And then the consultations were on with the GBC. And later on a statement came out that Guru Maharaj said, if GBC wants me to go to the hospital, he didn't want it to go, but if GBC wants me to go, I will go. So even at that point, he was totally surrendered to the mission of ISKCON and the unity that you highlighted. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very, very important instructions you highlighted. I would now call upon His Grace Sachinandan Prabhu to offer his respects, and then afterwards I will call His Grace Radha Vinod Prabhu to come in.
विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति चारु स्वामी नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवं गौरवाणी परिचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पास्ताय देस्तान्य। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Happy 77th Parents' Day, Maharaj. So Maharaj is not physically present, but it's here, isn't it? You can see him, can't you? You can see him through his lectures. You can see him through Prabhupada. And you can see him through your disciples. That's what I see, that's how I see it. Now, when Tanvi Mataji invited me for the Vyasa Puja, I was thinking I better do something, say something about Maharaj and how close I was with Maharaj. I didn't have much association, but how I felt, how close I was to Maharaj, so I thought of writing something for the offering. So, the very least, see, Maharaj is not physically present, but the very least we have today is that we get to associate with each other, don't we? Come to the temple, have the darshan, see the devotees, deities, Sri Prabhupada and Maharaj. And then we have feast. It's free, isn't it? We're not paying anything, are we? So what else we want? So Maharaj, she is preaching, even though he's not here, he's still preaching to us. And that's what the Vaishnavas do, they preach to us. And it is said that the Vaishnavas constantly engage in devotional service. We are so fortunate to take shelter of His Holiness, Bhakti Charu Maharaj. She said that the spiritual masters are more merciful than Krishna himself. Have you heard that? I have. Now why? Because they come from the spiritual world, take us back home. And if you don't make it, they come again, take us back home. So we remain indebted. So our duty as a disciple is to ensure they don't come back. We follow that instruction and we abide by that instruction and we do our best to go back home. So His Holiness has very close association with my spiritual master, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and he treated him like his elder brother. Once Maharaj came here, we invited him, Maharaj, to come to Devi Temple in Regent's Park to have a closer association with him. This is about 7 years ago or so. And Maharaj spoke about His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, our Guru Maharaj, very nicely. He told us about his association, how they were together, what they did together, and their pastimes. And I'll read something he said to me. He said that day, in his offering. Maharaj wrote, I had an experience just about 2 or 3 days before Tamal Krishna Maharaj left his body. We were chanting together in his room. Tamal Krishna Maharaj stopped and said, take care of those boys in Calcutta. He had few disciples there. Maharaj said, you are their father. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj is saying, I said, no, I am the uncle. You are the father. He said again, no, you are their father. He went on like this for some time. I couldn't understand why he was speaking like that, because everybody knows that the spiritual master is the father and his growth brother are the uncles. This was one indication that I had that he knew that he was going to leave. He was requesting that I take care of his boys. That's what Maharaj wrote. So, with that offering, we consider Maharaj that we're taking his shelter because our Gurudev asked him to take care of us. So that's how Maharaj became so close to us, to all of us, my God brothers. And so further on, also in that assembly, when we had 7 years ago, so when we had at that Devi temple, Maharaj was giving us some more pastimes. He was talking about when he got his first and second initiation on the same day. Then not long after, he got the sannyasa. He was given the renounced order of sannyas. And Maharaj mentioned there that those sannyasis who did not get married, did not go to Grasa ashram and took sannyasa, they were they were Swamis. And those who did were Goswamis. That's what I heard from Maharaj that day. So now, going back a bit, when I was introduced to ISKCON some in 1977. In those days, we were just new devotees trying to get into it, and we didn't know much about other sannyasis. But when we first came to know of other sannyasis, then, because that time Prabhupada was still alive, he left after 2 months, then when we came to know of other sannyasis, and then we came to know of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, the first thing when I saw him, even him without speaking, I knew in my heart that he was very, very humble. And that was proven when I took a glimpse of association with his lectures, when I heard him say, and then say him, then normally when you have a sannyasi or anybody giving class, you see how they behave, how they speak, and what they do. You always, it's on the spotlight, isn't it? And then from that kind of association, I knew what I first had an impression of Maharaj was like that, very humble. So, I'd like to say here, to conclude, I would like to thank His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj's disciples for doing so much service and giving me their association so that I can stay connected. They show so much respect and serve us so nicely. I have a lot to learn from them. This is over the years I've been associating, and I have been, as you have seen, I know many of you here. And I would say all glories to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. All glories to Prabhupada. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Sachi Prabhu. Some really important instructions you heard. Acharyas preach even when they leave. Duty as a disciple is to follow the instructions. And you nicely narrated the pastimes of Guru Maharaj with His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So that was very, very nice, Prabhu. And this instruction that you heard from him, that that Maharaj actually asked Guru Maharaj to take care of his disciples. It shows the relationship they had. It's very difficult, very complicated matter for us to even think about it. Guru Maharaj actually once told a disciple in Ujjain that do not get between my instructions with my God brothers, you will be bewildered. Do not try to interpret, speculate, you will be bewildered. Because the way they interact is at a very different level. So thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful offering, serving Srila Prabhupada's mission since 1977. Having such a senior Vaishnava amongst us is a very great service for us. Thank you. Now I would request His Grace Radha Vinod Prabhu to please come and say a few words, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So today we are here to glorify His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj and his contributions. When Kanashan Prabhu had asked me, I'd like to share some reflections, and he also said if there's something about Srila Prabhupada that we could offer. And today happens to be the day that Srila Prabhupada actually came to the West. He actually arrived in Boston just today as per the Vaishnava Tithi. So when we hear of the glories of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, at least to myself, and there are innumerable qualities of Maharaj, but two qualities that really stand out are Dainya, humility, and Vaishnava Sadachar, Vaishnava etiquette. How Maharaj is an embodiment of, to me, especially hearing from my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Giriraj Swami, always speaks so highly of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj so beautifully, and he always stresses on these 2 points of humility and Vaishnava etiquette. So today, I'll just read some points that were shared by my Guru Maharaj, and some of them also glorify His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj on the occasion of Srila Prabhupada coming to America. So when once Srila Prabhupada was asked, a reporter asked, or one of the God brothers asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, your God brothers went to England and Germany. Why did you decide to go to America? And Srila Prabhupada said, my God brothers went to England and Germany, and they came back to India empty-handed. So I thought if I would fail, I'll rather fail in a different place. And then once a disciple told Srila Prabhupada on a morning walk, Srila Prabhupada, when you came to the Western world, no one anywhere believed it would be successful. But actually it has become very successful by preaching. And Srila Prabhupada responds, I myself did not believe I shall be successful. What to speak of others? But because I did in the proper line, so it has become successful. So we know today is the day Srila Prabhupada arrived in Boston, and the invaluable gift that we have is the Markine Bhagavad Dharma, which was a poem composed by Srila Prabhupada, in which he expressed his same mood of dependence on the mercy of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there are just some points here I'd like to share. So the first prayer, or the first stanza is, my dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. You can do whatever you like with me. So we see in this humility, Srila Prabhupada refers to himself as a useless soul. He submits himself as a puppet in the hands of Krishna and the parampara to do with him whatever they like. That should also be our mood in our devotional service, that we should just want to be puppets in the hand of our spiritual master and act as he wants us to act, or do as he wants us to do. And we see in Srila Prabhupada's poem, it gives us an insight not into the mood of his surrender and dependence on the mercy of the Lord and his spiritual master, but also what should our mood be in our execution devotional service. Then the next line, Srila Prabhupada writes, but I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? So it's interesting, Srila Prabhupada's calling America a terrible place. Most of us go to America, at least for myself, because America is the land of the brave and the free. I'm not sure if I'm getting them mixed up. But Srila Prabhupada is seeing it as the most terrible place because he's seeing most of the population covered here by the modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they'll be able to understand it. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service, O Lord? I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I'll be able to convince them about your message. So Srila Prabhupada is exhibiting the mood of surrender, wherein he's not only praying for the Lord's mercy to make our words suitable, but he's also praying to the super soul in the heart of the recipient to be able to reciprocate with what's being said. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. Continuing on, in the Bhagavatam, there's a famous verse, Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse number 43. The Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode. accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision and due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception. So it is described when a devotee was first coming to the Boston temple, Srila Prabhupada said this devotee is very submissive. And this devotee thought that is very odd because I was never taught that being submissive is a virtue. It is usually being looked upon as something that, it's very, something that people look down upon. But Srila Prabhupada is glorifying that as a virtue because that's making that person receptive to the messages of Bhagavatam. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I'm seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I'm powerless to do so on my own. So when Srila Prabhupada says he's the most fallen, there's no pretense in it. Once a disciple went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. And Srila Prabhupada said, you're the most of nothing. Because when Prabhupada said it, I'm the most fallen, he meant it. And Prabhupada was fulfilling his disciples' desire. The devotee wanted to be humble, and he was presenting himself as humble. And Prabhupada's words were humbling. You're the most of nothing. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it's up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message, and if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. So again, this is a very important verse because it speaks to the point of realization. Srila Prabhupada is saying, I can simply repeat your message. So when we repeat, but at the same time, Srila Prabhupada is praying to the Lord to make his power of speaking suitable for his audience. And Srila Prabhupada concludes, I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. So once there was a reporter in India who went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, every acharya in India has always made some contribution, have made some additions to what the previous acharyas did. What is your contribution? Srila Prabhupada said, nothing. Reporter looks back and says, no. Maybe the reporter thought, maybe I'll repeat my question again. Swamiji, what did you add to the contribution of the acharya? Srila Prabhupada says, 0. Again, the reporter tried one more time. No, Swamiji, what did you actually do? Prabhupada said, nothing. Finally, this reporter was humbled enough, and Srila Prabhupada said, my contribution is that I have presented the teachings of a parampara as it is, without any addition. That is my contribution. Once, and Srila Prabhupada had a god brother named Bon Maharaj, who was a disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Srila Prabhupada also had another god brother called Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, who was very popularly known as Babaji Maharaj because he was a Babaji. He was always intoxicated with the holy names. Wherever he would go, he would always chant. And he was very dear to Srila Prabhupada, and they both had a very a transcendental relationship, which one could see how much of love and affection they had for each other. So once when Srila Babaji Maharaj went to Bon Maharaj, because if we see earlier, Srila Prabhupada is saying, I presented everything as it is in the line of disciplic succession. So Babaji Maharaj went to Bon Maharaj and said, and Bon Maharaj had been to the West, he had been to Germany, I believe. So he tells Bon Maharaj, you went to the West? Bon Maharaj said, yes. Bhaktivedanta Swami also went to the West? Yes. Bhaktivedanta Swami was successful? Said, yes. You were not successful? Said, yes. You were following parampara? Said, yes. Bhaktivedanta Swami is following parampara? Yes. So then why were you not successful? And before Bon Maharaj could even answer, Babaji Maharaj says the reason why you were not successful because Bhaktivedanta Swami had complete faith in the holy names of Krishna and in the mission of his spiritual master. I'd like to conclude by extending on this point. There's a book by Yogeshwara Prabhu, Joshua Green, Swami in a Strange Land, and in that there's a pastime that's described of how Srila Prabhupada was so, he was empowered by Lord Chaitanya, but even giving a slight glimpse of his true glories. So in this pastime, there's a resident of Vrindavan called Hridayananda Babaji, and he's living in Radha Damodar temple, where Srila Prabhupada spent some of the years before he actually traveled to America. So every night he would hear someone crying in the courtyard of Rupa Goswami, his samadhi. And every night he would hear someone saying, "Oh Rupa, oh Sanatan, oh Mahaprabhu, please give me a mercy. I don't think I can make it happen. Please, give me your blessings." And every night he would hear someone just crying very, very intensely for hours and hours. And he could see from his window, this was it was obviously our Srila Prabhupada. So one morning he went to Srila Prabhupada and said, "I'd like to help you with your chores, your cleaning." So he, Srila Prabhupada, at that time Bhaktivedanta Swami said, "Yes, please help me." So one morning when Srila Prabhupada was away for doing, for his publishing, I believe, whatever he had to attend to. So Hridayananda Maharaj goes into his room, takes a broom and starts cleaning the room. And when he starts cleaning the room, he sees on the ceiling there are a lot of cobwebs. And he takes to it that, just to brush aside the cobweb. And as soon as the cobwebs disappear, there are spiders on the floor. Just, not very visible, but to some extent you can see there are spiders on the floor. So as soon as Srila Prabhupada enters the room, he notices the spider and he just angrily reacts to Babaji Maharaj, "What have you done?" And Hridayananda Babaji says that, "I'm sorry, Swamiji, actually I noticed some cobwebs, but I've taken a lot of care to make sure they're not disturbed. So you see, I've not, killed them or anything, they're still here." And Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada says, "That may be true, but bear in mind, we are new," he's speaking in his complete humility, "we are newcomers to Vrindavan. These insects and spiders have been generations in Vrindavan from the ancestors." And Babaji Maharaj then says, Hridayananda Maharaj then says, "I have been a Vrajabasi, I cannot trace my lineage as to how far we go to be in Vrindavan, but I've never seen someone like Bhaktivedanta Swami to have such sadhana based on his devotional character and he said, I've lived in Vraj for my whole life, my ancestors, but I've never seen anyone like Bhaktivedanta Swami." So, obviously, like father, like son, Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj following in his footsteps. You're the greatest gift that we have. Your teachings on Vaishnava etiquette, humility, and most importantly, complete surrender to Srila Prabhupada and his instructions is something, as my Guru Maharaj Viraj Swami always says, without my God brothers, I'm nothing. And I was speaking on behalf of, at least for myself, that you are our most favorite spiritual uncle. Please continue to bless us. And as infants as we are, continue to hold us whenever we fall and give us the strength and protection to always serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. Your Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you, Radha Vinod Prabhu. Such an inspiring words. And yes, His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj and Guru Maharaj were very, very close. And that reflects in when Maharaj speaks about Guru Maharaj, he's always having this photo of him, having one hand. And that kind of reminds how close they were. Thank you for such wonderful words of the two qualities that you highlighted of Guru Maharaj, Dainya and Vaishnav Sadachar, Vaishnav etiquette from Hari Bhakti Vilas. Guru Maharaj started that course and now it's very widely publicized. And also this Dainya, humility, Just on the lighter note, for the disciples of Guru Maharaj who were very, very close, and I'm not one of them, but I've heard that they could see how fiery he was internally. Zero tolerance. Some of the senior disciples, God brothers, are already smiling, but he was like a fire. No tolerance for any substandard things that can go on in ISKCON. He would always champion for everything being first class. So we can see the decoration team, the garlands that have been prepared, the way it has been set up in this temple room, by the blessings of His Grace, Ghanshyam Prabhu. The arrangements are absolutely first class. So we can see the presence of Guru Maharaj, that he would be very happy that we are trying to serve him in that way, being first class service. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your wonderful, inspiring words. Is Shubha Krishna Prabhu here? Shubha Krishna Prabhu? Oh, yeah, you informed that. Okay. So, can I request now, how much time have we got? Because we've got now a bunch of disciples lined up for reading their offerings. How much time can we take so that we can, go a little faster from here on? I'm not trying to rush you, trust me. But I don't want to miss the opportunity for anyone not reading their offerings as well. Half an hour more. So in half an hour we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you've got the time. So I would request Her Grace Satya Mataji to please come and read her offering. Thank you.
But it's also quite a sad thing. I think we're getting more used to Guru Maharaj not being around physically. But for me personally, I was in shock for probably 2 years, and then I couldn't really understand that he was not coming back. But now something has happened where I'm feeling him much more in my life and more committed to trying to serve what he wanted for me to do. So I'll be very quick because we don't have long. I always felt very properly situated when he came here to Sydney. It was like we had all the family here and he would come and stay and I could serve him properly as a daughter. Whereas when I travelled with him, there was other people doing different services for him, and so I could really relish my enjoyment of serving him here in Sydney and hosting him. That was the greatest pleasure for me. So I used to write him some little poems and he'd always acknowledge them. That was when he was here. I would have insights or poetry would come in the morning when I was doing my japa. So I've just chosen 2 poems. So this one is the famous, the very beautiful tea party that we shared, Pranav and I. My heart is full of gratitude that my father chose to prolong his stay in our home so he could rest and get well again. Sipping tea with him one lazy afternoon, enjoying the melodious sounds of sarod, flute and sitar, is forever etched in my heart as one of the sweetest moments of my life. The singers' voices transported us to his realm, enchanting and rich with emotion. To see my father so relaxed and rested gives me the greatest pleasure. How sweet were those moments where we could enjoy the voices together. Such an intimate sharing. His love of the music met my love, and we were transported into love's other world, a transcendental space of joy and sharing. Thank you, dear Father, for allowing me to share these precious musical moments with you. Sipping tea one delightful afternoon. I shall forever cherish these sweet moments with you. And then on the final day, we never knew that we would never see him again. But he'd extended his stay because he hadn't been well, and he'd arrived quite unwell. And he'd got well, and I was very satisfied that he'd got his strength back and he had got happier in himself. And he'd just finished, or he was in the process of writing the movie that he was inspired to about Lord Chaitanya. And I felt so complete and satisfied with all the time he'd spent with us all and the showering of his gifts. So I wrote a little haiku poem for him one morning. Sweet gentle rain, your departure, my heart is satisfied. I was able to show you my love. And usually he wouldn't respond to my poems in writing, he would just acknowledge them to me personally. But this morning he wrote to me, and he wrote a haiku response. I wish I had the ability to use words to express my true feelings. What I missed in my childhood, my daughter is repairing that loss. I was very, very touched. Thank you. On another practical note, we've got many books outside of Guru Maharaj. Oh, yes, we have these books, and please feel free to take them. So, yeah, thank you.
How touching was that? Thank you for sharing that little heart of yours with us. Very, very grateful. Now I would request is Radha Vinodini. Is she there? She's
Hare Krishna, everybody. I'll be very brief. I just am so grateful to you, Maharaj. You just have brought so much to my life, and I know you're very modest about it, and when I tell you that, you don't take credit, but yeah, thank you for bringing all of the ISKCON family into my life, and yeah, I will never leave ISKCON. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much for reminding of that wonderful instruction from Guru Maharaj. Never leave ISKCON for all of us. Okay, now I'll request Vinodvani Mataji.
नमो विष्णु बताया कृष्ण प्रसाद भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति चारु स्वामी के नाम में स्निग्ध चेता स्फुरता तमिलम जलस्फुटा प्रभुपाद कथा नमो भक्ति चारु नमो विष्णु बताया कृष्ण प्रसाद श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी के नाम में नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात देशता जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Our dearest Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance unto your divine lotus feet on the most auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. First of all, I would like to thank you for all your blessings and guidance you have given us, and explaining the importance of Srila Prabhupada's and about his mission, ISKCON, and spreading the holy name throughout the whole world. Because of Srila Prabhupada, we all are experiencing the blissful atmosphere of ISKCON, even in abroad, and the most beautiful deities of the Lordship. Guru Maharaj, you are so dear to all the devotees of whole world, your god brothers, and so dear to Srila Prabhupada. And who is dear to Srila Prabhupada is dear to Lordship. Your service to Srila Prabhupada is extraordinary, such as translating the scriptures into Bengali language, such a beautiful temple of Ujjain project for cow protection and agriculture in Orlando. Your instructions are always reminding in my mind, never leave ISKCON, do your best in your devotional service. Become a very good devotee, which I am trying to be. It can be possible only by your blessings. Your words of explaining Shastras are so simple and deep. This is your unique quality. Guru Maharaj, please bless me so that I can remember you until my last breath. Your unworthy servant, life after life, Vinod Vani.
Thank you, Vinodwani Mataji. Okay, now we'll watch some videos while the offering goes on. So please turn yourself towards the deities and towards the projector. And Hiten Prabhu will play about 10 minutes of 2 videos. They are very, very engaging videos. So please
Bhakti Charu San. Bhakti Charu San.
সংসারদাবা নললি ঢালোকা ত্রাণায় কারুণ্য ঘনা ঘনাতাম সংসারদাবা নললি ঢালোকা ত্রাণায় কারুণ্য ঘনা ঘনাতাম প্রাপ্তস্য কল্যাণ গুণার্ণবস্য বন্দে গুরো শ্রী চরণারবিন্দম বন্দে গুরো শ্রী চরণারবিন্দম বন্দে গুরো শ্রী চরণারবিন্দম
Bhakti Charu Maharaj so much imbibed this mood of Srila Sanatana Goswami. Scholarly, completely devoted in 100% to his Guru Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in Bhakti Charu Swami, Srila Prabhupada, artistic, music, literature, drama, and a friend, a kind friend to everyone.
With him, he was extremely kind, gentle, almost shy. But when he spoke with a certainty in what he was giving in his terms of his Krishna consciousness. And I think that all the disciples certainly felt that. I certainly felt it as a god sister. I was always very, very appreciative of him in so many ways.
Whatever the case, what is absolutely certain is that he's continuing in Prabhupada's service, one way or the other. Prabhupada, as one of Prabhupada's loyal right-hand men.
Bhakti Charu Maharaj was like that. He would always want to help, even with seeming insignificant, trivial things, even some family dispute, can I help? And that was always the mood. I saw that so many times. And he sacrificed so much.
He truly and genuinely wanted to glorify devotees. His motivation was purely to glorify devotees, to make the world know the glories of Srila Prabhupada in terms of his followers.
But the very, very special nature of Bhakti Charu Maharaj was that by his presence, he always reminded us of Srila Prabhupada. I've always been a fan of Maharaj's lectures. He was a brilliant speaker, one of my favorite speakers, and I nourished my Bhakti Lata Creeper by hearing from him on a regular basis.
He was so attentive to details that it became obvious that anyone who exchanged any kind of exchange with him, it became substantial because he was just so attentive to the person he was with. In his association, I just felt very relevant. And he made you feel that way.
And Bhakti Charu Swami did the first and foremost example. He was so much going out from his inner strength. He didn't care of Purana. He simply was eager, extensive eager to meet his life and soul.
Bhakti Charu Maharaj's intensity of service, not simply worshiping Prabhupada or appreciating Prabhupada or looking at Prabhupada or wanting to be with Prabhupada, but absolute surrender. And because of that, all these other Vaishnava qualities that we find listed, the 26 Vaishnava qualities, were manifest by Bhakti Charu Maharaj because of his devotion. Without devotion, there's no good qualities. But because of his devotion to Srila Prabhupada, and of course that's eternal because he's Prabhupada's eternal associate.
It's even said that Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan used to give household advice, family advice to the different Brajavasis, and they called him Baba. They were so fond of him. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj was like that. He was dear to everyone in our society, from the smallest to the lowest to the most exalted members. of our society. He was merciful to all, and Srila Prabhupada recognized his character from the very beginning.
So Bhakti Charu Swami is a classic example of a humble devotee, sweet devotee, and one who was respectful to everyone. He was always respectful and always enthusiastic to preach.
The past has its significance, but past has its significance as the foundation, right? On this foundation, your structure is built. Your life should be built on the foundation of your past. In the past, you make mistakes, right? Rectify those mistakes and learn from those mistakes, not to make those mistakes again. In this way, we are not saying that don't think about the past, but don't dwell in the past. But the future also will be built on how you're acting on the present. So let the past be the foundation, let the present be the building blocks for the future. And like Prabhupada very clearly told us actually, that it is not that first you have to become a perfect and then you will start to preach. No, whatever you have learned, distribute. Prabhupada even went to the extent of telling, just if you have understood that Krishna is God, just go and tell people. To maintain that interest and motivation, as you put it, you have to associate with the devotees. Be in the right association and read the right books. That's why, reading and hearing and following the process in the association of devotees is so important. So now, you see, these conflicts are created by Kali. Kali's business is to divide and spread his influence. And to counteract that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. And what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's way? Unify everyone through Sankirtan. So Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is meant to unify everyone. And that is what ISKCON is here for. The world has already been divided into so many fragments. Now our business is to unify them all. Okay? So when you see them fighting, go and tell them, why are you fighting? You see, we are not so much concerned about how the opposing force is becoming strong and powerful. Our concern should be, how can we increase our own agenda, how we can push our agenda, how we can, increase our force. Then by increasing our force, they will automatically be subdued. Right? Say for example, the world is going in a certain way. The world is going in a negative way. Right? What is becoming prevalent in this world? Meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex and gambling. Right? That is being promoted every day. Now our business is not to tear down those billboards, that are promoting that and so forth, or get into confrontation with them. Our way is, first we work upon ourselves. How strictly, how earnestly I am following this lifestyle. And then we convince others, influence others, And that is how this, our purpose, will be fulfilled. You got my point? You follow other leaders, but when it comes to leading, then you start to lead yourself first. That means what you want others to achieve, you try to achieve yourself first. What you want others to follow, you try to follow that yourself first. Yeah, so when you're studying, prepare yourself. Study nicely. Do well. That is the qualification of a devotee. Whatever he does it for Krishna. And therefore he does it in the best possible way. Right? Arjuna is fighting, Karna is fighting. Right? Actually, skillfully, as far as skill is concerned, Karna was better than Arjuna. But eventually who won? Arjuna. Why? Because he fought for Krishna, not for his own sake. So similarly, when you are studying, study for Krishna. Right? Because in this way, where the others will see that, oh, he is such a good boy. He is doing so well in his studies. Because he is a Hare Krishna. Right? So all of you, those who are studying, or those, whatever you do it in the best possible way, so that the people will say, because he is a devotee, that's why he is the best. And on your part, you do it in the best possible way, not in order to become the best, but to put your best into it.
His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so thank you so much. Now we'll continue with the offerings. So now can I request Shubh Krishna Prabhu to come and read his offering? Thank you for coming, Prabhu, despite being unwell. Thank you.
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति चारु स्वामिनिति नामिने सिग्नचेता सुप्रणीता वाग्मीनां चिरसपतां प्रभुपादगत प्राणानोमि भक्ति चारुपदम् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण Guru Maharaj. This time I could not pen down my offering, but I would like to glorify you on your so many beautiful qualities. I am a very, very tiny and a struggling devotee, just trying to become a devotee rather. You always expected everything that we do for Srila Prabhupada should be first class. You have presented that to us by your own example, by doing everything first class, whether it is building a temple, preaching movement, or Sankirtan, or even doing Kirtan, singing bhajans for Srila Prabhupada and Radha and Krishna. You always did exemplary services, and you have displayed that in every aspect of devotional life that a devotee should be doing. how to dress up, how to come to the temple, how to present yourself in front of Prabhupada. Everything was exemplary, that whatever you have done here, Prabhupada. Even for the Ishtagoshtis, you have always instructed us that don't form groups. Always bring everyone together. You always oppose the idea of Guru Groupism. You always said that you please bring in everyone together, have a common Ishtagoshti so that we all talk about Srila Prabhupada together. In order to follow your instructions, Guru Maharaj, I'm trying to do some little preaching as well as working for the temple in some way. I need your blessings so that I should be able to do better in my devotional life, should be able to do whatever I can in order to serve Srila Prabhupada and yourself in my remaining life of part of my life. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Can I request Her Grace Charu Deshna Mataji to please come and offer? Please come, Mataji. You have to. Announcement is made. Please. No problem. Please say something. We would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna devotees. I haven't prepared anything today at all, and Prabhu, you've put me on a spot. I just remember every minute I've spent with Guru Maharaj. I recall the time, especially in the early days when Guru Maharaj was here and he used to stay in the apartments in St. Leonard's. One time I remember him saying, "Can you make Puran Pori for me?" And the foolish person that I was, with all the services I was doing, tiny services that I was doing for him then, I really did not have time to make Puran Pori. And I said, no. Can you believe that? I said, Maharaj, I'm doing this, this and this, and I just don't know where I'll find time to say, to make Puran Pori for you. Now when I think of it, it was such a small request he had made. And I actually said no. Where did I gather that? I mean, it's just audacity. When I think of it, I regret so much. I wish I had said yes. I had realized the importance of serving a guru then. It was a very small request. Then one time I again remember, we were organizing a seminar. Maharaj was giving this seminar on pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. And we hadn't slept almost for a few nights with so much preparation going on. So early in the morning, I was there at the venue trying to get things sorted. And Guru Maharaj comes in. He wasn't in a particularly wonderful mood that day because Shubha Krishna was his driver and he had taken a wrong turn. And that annoyed Guru Maharaj so much because it delayed him by. So he made, Surat Krishna Prabhu was also in the car that day. And Surat Krishna Prabhu called me and said, Maharaj is saying, please go and announce that my driver took a wrong turn and therefore the seminar will start 5 minutes late. And I was so scared. So I was so scared. Then I didn't say anything. Anyway, he made Surat Krishna Prabhu call again and say, tell him Shubha Krishna is my driver and that he took a wrong turn and that's why I am 5 minutes late. By that time, I was almost in tears. I didn't know what to say. Anyway, someone on my behalf went and announced that this had happened. He was really furious when he stepped in. When he saw me, he said, "Have you chanted your rounds?" And I said, "No." That was the end of it. In the evening, he just gathered us in that St. Leonard's small apartment, and he asked everyone, who all haven't chanted their rounds? Well, that was me, and people were glaring at me. Why did you say that? There were some other devotees as well who said we haven't. So he said to me, tomorrow if you don't chant the rounds, you're not doing any service, you're not cooking for me, you're just not doing anything. And he gave an hour's lecture, which was probably heard in the temple in one of those meetings every single time. For probably a week or so, that lecture was played here, on the which emphasized the importance of chanting your rounds before starting your day. At least chant a few rounds. I had chanted none. Anyways, from then on, the seminar lasted 3 days. The first thing he did was, morning when he stepped into the hall, he used to ask me, "Did you chant your rounds?" In the evening before I left him, he used to ask me, "Did you complete your rounds?" So it was a big lesson for me. And then before he left, he actually was, to everybody it may sound it's such a harsh approach. But Maharaj was really very kind, essentially kind at heart. And he used to always say, if I don't teach you, who else will teach you? And if you don't follow this, how will you teach others? What example will you, how can you lead by example if you're not doing what I have been asking of you? So he said, he actually said, forgive me for being so harsh with you, for behaving in this way. And it was shocking because I never expected Maharaj to ask for forgiveness. He's like a father and he should just be reprimanding us and correcting us. He said, I don't mean that. I just want you to be very fixed up in your devotional service, and I just want you to be honest. One thing he kept emphasizing was, I would rather you all be small devotees doing your Krishna, being very Krishna conscious in your activities. You be small devotees whom Krishna recognizes, not big devotees whom that the community recognizes. This is one instruction of his that has always struck in, it has just been, it's there in my mind, it's planted in my mind, cemented there. And initially it took me some time to understand what it all meant. Slowly, probably as I grow old as well, you understand slightly better. So trying to follow Guru Maharaj's instructions as closely as possible. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Good that I put you on spot. Mataji shares the name with Guru Maharaj, Charu Deshna Mataji and Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So, thank you, Mataji. Unprepared is this good. So imagine, and Mataji used to do a lot of MC, and no wonder, since Mataji has not been doing the MC, the tempo has gone down because I have been asked to do the MC. But thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, can I request now? I would request actually a wonderful devotee whom I came to know and appreciate a little late. The deeper realizations with Guru Maharaj. I could see, but I couldn't feel it. His Grace Govind Hari Prabhu, if he can come in and please say something about Guru Maharaj. So many realizations. That'll be wonderful, Prabhu. I hope I'm also not putting you on spot. But I know when I'm putting devotees on spot, few of them, they're really, really good. So.
It's okay, Prabhu, I can shout enough. Well, thank you for putting me on the spot, Prabhu, but I'll do my best. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Charu Swaminiti Namine. Usually I'm never short for words, but today is one of those few and rare occasions, because His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj had a phenomenal presence in my life, as he would have in so many other people's lives. I'm just an insignificant wannabe Hare Krishna who got a lot of mercy from Maharaj in indirect ways. Destiny played its part, where I happened to be at the right time at the right place and received a lot of instruction from Maharaj. He was actually one of the most practical people I've ever met, who was very, very well informed on just about any subject in this world. He used to talk to me about economics, geopolitical affairs, things happening in the community, how things used to be in Prabhupada's time and how they are now, what should be done, management, leadership. And he was so expert and scholarly in each of those subjects, and it's very rare to find someone like that. He was also, when I used to meet him a lot with Varanayak Prabhu, the temple president then, one thing that really struck me, and Varanayak Prabhu had told me, is this is the closest you will find anyone to Srila Prabhupada in demeanor and personality. And I could see that in Maharaj. Like, even with, he didn't hold any fools. He would speak his mind. He could be as soft as a rose and as fierce as a thunderbolt. And it didn't matter if you were a temple president or a bhakta or anybody. He could speak his mind when he had to. Charudeshna Mataji brought about the point about Maharaj and always being punctual. There was a time when we were looking for a new plot to build a new temple, and just by quirk of fortune, I happened to take on that service, and it was a very tiring service. For the best part of 18 months, I'd kind of driven to anyone who was selling acreage in Western Sydney and Northwestern Sydney in particular. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj happened to be in town. Satyamarani Mataji was with him, and we had an appointment to meet the next day at a particular plot of land in Vineyard. So there was a certain time we were supposed to be there. I got there in the middle of work, and Maharaj was there already 20 minutes earlier and waiting for me to get the keys of the real estate agent. And he was a real stickler for punctuality. And when he put his foot on the land, he actually told me, this is the land, you've shown me many other plots of land, this is the one that you should go for. And he compared that plot of land to the Bhuvaneshwar temple, which he was instrumental in building. And he said that when we built the Bhuvaneshwar temple, it was in a crime-ridden area in the outskirts of the city. Nobody wanted to be there, and now it's a very flourishing yatra, a flourishing temple in a very, very flourishing part of town. And this place has the same potential. And needless to say, after he put his foot on the land, within 3 months we had purchased the property, which was quite miraculous after all that headhunting that we'd done. Maharaj was also very subtle, and he could read people. He had this amazing ability to read people. I will personally always be indebted to him, because when I was going through a real tumultuous time in my life, both personally and in to do with the services I was on, and they were taken away from me, I confided in Maharaj, and he gave me an hour of his time, and he took me back in time. And he said, look, everything that happens in your life, we have this tendency to think, why did it happen to me? And I'm the only person who must have ever gone through this. And he took me through a phase when Prabhupada was departing this planet. And what happened then in the movement and in subsequent years to follow. And he said, look, there's real parallels between what happened then and what's happening in this situation in your yatra. This too shall pass, and this is where it'll all end. And that was 2018, and here we are in 2022, and each and everything that he told me, I can't divulge the contents of the conversation. He asked me to keep it confidential, but each and everything that he has told me has come to pass, and I'm quite amazed. He could really, really see through people. And he was just about an expert in everything that he did, whether it was cooking for devotees. And the etiquette that he showed, even for insignificant devotees such as myself. I mean, to give you a small example, Charu Deshnamataji brought the point about how sweet the dealings with Bhakti Charu Maharaj used to be when he used to come to the forum in St. Leonard's. I remember going there to see him on a Sunday night, and there were the disciples in front, and Maharaj was giving a class. And he saw me come in, and he said, Hare Krishna Govinda Hari Prabhu, please don't mind, I'm giving this class in Bengali, as we've got these Bengali devotees here. And I was like, when I was that's the last thing he had to say to me, but he was always so accommodating. And it's these little things that you never forget. I mean, not a single month goes when I don't think of Maharaj and his presence in my life, and it's quite unforgettable. The way he used to answer questions, he had this dry wit about him as well, a very dry sense of humor. I remember once he had this whole seminar on the Ramayana, and there was a question, it was time for Q&A time, and one of the devotees asked the question around, Maharaj, you spoke about ISKCON's creating Brahmanas, and you've got the Vaishyas, the Liberal Party who are the party of the Vaishyas, and the Labour Party which is the party of the Shudras, and there's constantly a tussle between them as to who comes to power. But where are the Kshatriyas gone? And Maharaj just had this dry smile and looked at the devotee and said, well, in today's day and age, the real Kshatriyas are the mafia dons. Okay. At least you go to them, show a bit of respect, and they'll get the work done for you. So they are the real Kshatriyas of this world. And he had a very dry sense of humor. He could accommodate just about anyone and everyone. He was very particular, as some of the devotees have mentioned in their offerings, about the way you dress, the way you conduct yourself with his disciples. But he was, let's just say, use the term, full of prasadam for everybody else. Very, very liberal, and at the same time, very progressive as well. I remember being in a program where, again, it was time for Q&A, and devotees asked him a question about, do you feel that the standards in ISKCON are slackening a bit from what they were in your and Prabhupada's time? And Maharaj's answer was, he took us back to the time when Prabhupada left the planet, and he took us to a point of time where things in ISKCON didn't go the way they should. And he said that was because we were just very dogmatic and very immature as devotees. We just held firm that people had to act in a certain way, or, behave in a certain way, talk in a certain way. And what was the end of all of that? We lost a whole generation of devotees studying in the Gurukul. So he's like any organization which is very dogmatic becomes very stagnant. And that's not something that we should have. But at the same time, he was very particular about things. But at the same time, he was very progressive and liberal. There are a couple of verses, I don't want to hold up devotees because I know it's time to move on. But there are a couple of verses that I would like to quote to describe Maharaj. Every time I think of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, these are the verses that come to mind. One is a very famous verse from the Gopi Gita, which Maharaj used to be an expert at singing. Every time he'd sing, I don't think there'd be a dry eye in the temple. So I'll just quote this verse. And the translation of the verse describes Bhakti Charu Maharaj to a T. So it goes along the lines of Tava Kathamritam. In fact, if you want to sing along, please do. This is one of Maharaj's favorite verses. So Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviriditam Kalmasafaham Shravana Mangalam Shri Mudaritam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Bhurida Jana. So the translation of the verse is, the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in the material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. And one word to describe Maharaj was munificent. There's one more verse, if I may. This is a verse in Brajabhasha. It's from a devotee called Sri Harivansha. It was described, it was picked up in the Vrindavan Research Archives, but I thought to describe Maharaj's activities and this assembly of devotees who's here to glorify Maharaj and what that, how this will be in the future. I think it's captured in this verse. Just to sidetrack, I remember another Q&A session where a devotee asked Maharaj, and this goes about Maharaj now that he's physically no longer with us. A devotee asked Maharaj, well, Krishna is known to possess all the 6 opulences, or God possesses all the 6 opulences. One of them is fame. How is Krishna famous? Like, there are so many people out in the street, out in the world, who don't know anything about Krishna. And Maharaj's response was, well, you think of any actor from the early 1900s or early 1800s or any celebrity of that time. Can you think of anyone? And the devotee was like, no. Well, it's been thousands of years since Krishna has actually physically left the planet, but why are we here still talking about him? And it's the same about Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He may not be here in his physical form, but he's here with us in spirit, here through his disciples, through all his well-wishers, and so it may be for a long, long time to come. So the verse goes along these lines, and it describes the glories of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and his pure devotees, one of whom was His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. So the verse goes, Chandra mite, Dinkar mite, mite Triguna Vistar, Pai Drid Vrata Shri Harivamsa Ko, mite na Nitya Vihar. And the translation of the verse is, at a certain point in time, the moon will be destroyed, the sun will be destroyed, all the 3 material gunas, goodness, passion and ignorance will be destroyed as well. But it's the firm vow of Sri Harivamsha Prabhu that the Nitya Vihar, or the eternal pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna and their pure devotees, will go on forever and forever and forevermore. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was wonderful offering, full of so many realizations. I didn't know that Guru Maharaj compared that land with Bhuvaneshwar. That was such a glorious comparison. And thank you so much for sharing your heart with us, Prabhu. There's so much hidden, so much yet to be shared. Now, can I request Murari Mohan Prabhu and Geeta Mrita Mataji to please come and share their offerings. Jai, here he is.
Hare Krishna all. I'll read the offerings on behalf of both myself and Gitamrita to Guru Maharaj. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistai Bhotale Srimad Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine Sneta Cheta Supraneta Bhagvinam Rasapratam Papargati Namni Bhakti Charu Padam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistai Bhotale Srimad Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pechavine Nivisesa Srinivati Pachadada Satavine. Our dear beloved Guru Maharaj, please accept our most humble obeisances at the dust of your lotus feet. On this very auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja and the glorious arrival of day of Srila Prabhupada to the US, we take the opportunity to express our most heartiest gratitude. Many has called you true Prabhupada men. We have seen this in all of your dealings, always thinking and meditating on how to please Srila Prabhupada. You are very special to Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada allowed you to serve him in the very intimately during his last pastimes on this earth. Your attachment to Srila Prabhupada is unparalleled. In every action, you were always thinking of Srila Prabhupada. If it was not for Srila Prabhupada going to the West, we would not all be here all today. And if it was not for you and your deep love for Srila Prabhupada, we wouldn't have had a great attachment to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj is an extraordinary person, a very dear and very, very dear to Srila Prabhupada, as we heard from the first meeting. Srila Prabhupada had given Guru Maharaj the magnanimous task of translating his books from English to Bengali, which is Gurudev Guru Maharaj did with great care and dedication. Srila Prabhupada gave Guru Maharaj the first and second initiation, which is hardly heard of at the same time. And then sannyasi within a very short time thereafter. Guru Maharaj was also made Secretary of Indian Affairs, which is a very high position in ISKCON at a very young age. This proved that Srila Prabhupada had seen the purity in Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, your love for Srila Prabhupada is so deep that even on your appearance day, you did not want the devotees to celebrate. You rather wanted the devotees to celebrate the arrival of Srila Prabhupada to the US. You had taken such massive projects pleasing Srila Prabhupada, and just to name a few, the Bhakti Charan series to glorify him, the Ujjain project, the Orlando project and to revive preachings in US, etc. Whatever Guru Maharaj did was done with such great care and attention. Every morning we sing Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Translation: the lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only ways by which we can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to the lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. By this verse, I recall once when I was trying to serve Guru Maharaj, holding the umbrella and providing shade for Guru Maharaj, and as we walked, there was a small puddle in front of us. In my silliness, I pointed this out to Guru Maharaj, thought that we would walk around it. However, Guru Maharaj just took one big step, crossed it. Then Guru Maharaj stopped and looked at me, and he asked, how will we cross over the material suffering? With one of his very special smiles. Now reflecting on this, I'm realizing how deep the meaning of every instruction is. Your every word, every instruction for us in our spiritual advancement. Just for my benefit, some of the instructions you've given us, I'm going to recall again. Never leave ISKCON no matter what. Keep Krishna in the center of whatever we do. Try and be a very good devotee. Krishna conscious is a happy process. Follow it happily. Whatever you do, perform it first class. If you take one step towards Krishna, Krishna will take 1,000 steps towards you. This year, Guru Maharaj, we began the Food Fly program, North Sydney West, and with your blessings and inspiration, we dedicated last weekend's Food for Life distribution to this most auspicious day, where we distributed over 50 plus veggie burgers, knowing that both yourself and Srila Prabhupada are very close to the Food for Life program. We also assist in doing a little bit of book distribution and perform numerous finance and admin services. We are also very much grateful to you and Srila Prabhupada for bringing us continuously your mercy. Guru Maharaj, we can carry these. Please continue giving us your mercy so we can carry these out to the fullest. Praying that we continue to please you and Srila Prabhupada, your insignificant servants, Murari Mohandas, Gitamrita Radhika Stasi. Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Murari Mohan Prabhu. It was a wonderful offering, glorifying Guru Maharaj, highlighting his achievements. Still, that memory is etched. When Guru Maharaj left, you were all doing Narsingha Havan, Yagya at your place. That's when we received that, the news, the dreaded news of Guru Maharaj leaving us. Mataji is reading offering. Okay. Is Mataji here? Okay. Now can I request Sadevanand Prabhu and Krishna Karshni Mataji? Please come and read your offering, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for such a wonderful glorification of Guru Maharaj. I'll be very quick. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept our humble obeisances as to your lotus feet. Your glories have no limit. You are like a sun who takes away all the darkness from one's hearts. Our heart is full of darkness from ignorance. Like the sun clearing out all the darkness, with your mercy we can get rid of that ignorance, and thus we can understand the real truth. After passing through so many births in so many different forms, we finally have been born as a human. But this birth can only be successful if, with your causeless mercy, you give us a shelter at your lotus feet. A true knowledge that we are hankering for is only possible if we can smear in our body the dust of your lotus feet. Guru Maharaj, we are forever in debt to you, and there is nothing that we can do to repay you. Srila Prabhupada once said, the nature of the debt that once owed to their spiritual master is such that if you pay back $5, you realize that you actually owe $10. And when you attempt to prepay $10, you realize that it's actually $20. Your contribution to the ISKCON movement is enormous. Same way, your contribution to our devotional life is also limitless. We cannot thank you enough for no matter what you do. Just a small prayers to you that please do not take away your shelter and let us stay as dust. Let us stay as the dust at your lotus feet forever. Your children, Swanevananda Das and Krishna Krishna Devi Das.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we will do a hard stop at 1:15. So we still have 20 minutes and we need to get through how many ever we get through. But after that, amazing, wonderful Pushpanjali celebration is waiting us. And after that, I think the tummies are rumbling. And Guru Maharaj Vyasa Puja is known for amazing prasadam. So please do not leave. There's amazing prasadam coming your way. So now can I request Jyotirmay Mataji?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please accept my respectful obeisance onto your lotus feet. All glories to you, Guru Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. On this auspicious day, I would like to thank Guru Maharaj for all the mercy you have been bestowed upon me by accepting me as your disciple. I remember those days when you came to Australia for retreats. Those few days were the most blissful days of the entire year. Your association, your beautiful way of narrating Krishna Katha, your melodious kirtans are something that I will always cherish and never forget. Guru Maharaj, you have made all arrangements not only for your disciples, but for humanity for humanity at large through your many innovative ways of getting association through your lectures, your projects, and YouTube clips. In every activities of yours, you always emphasized to strengthen our commitment and conviction to Srila Prabhupada and his ISKCON. In a very exemplary way, you teach us the mood of becoming an eternal disciple by displaying your unconditional love, pure love for Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, please install in our hearts a drop of that mood of servitorship for you as you have for Srila Prabhupada. Your servant, Jyotirmay Radha Dasi.
Thank you, Mataji, for that heartfelt offering. Now, can I request Manindra Prabhu and Seva Priya Mataji to come?
Hare Krishna. Namam Krishna Pada Krishna Prashtaya Uttara Srimata Bhakti Charu Samanita Namni Sigda Cheta Shapranata Nam Chala Shapatam Prabhu Pada Kata Prana Nami Bhakti Charu. Namam Krishna Pada Krishna Prashtaya Uttara Srimata Bhakti Vedanta. Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitya Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajana. My most respected and dearest Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances on your lotus, unto your lotus feet.
Maybe we have that experience too. You know? I remember once when Radha Gokulananda were here, I was dressing the deities for Radhastami. And I was just dressing Radharani and another Pujari was dressing Krishna. And we had this flower outfit, you know, for big Radharani, skirt, pretty heavy. Oh, and I was struggling to put the skirt on because Radharani's waist is very slim and the skirt was always slipping. Oh my God, I was really sweating there, you know, trying to get the skirt on, you know. Oh, and time was ticking and oh my God, you know. Yes, but then looking back, it was actually bliss. It was ecstatic, you know. Really, Radharani, please, you know, just keep it on, you know. It was, you know, maybe make yourself a little bit more chubby there, you know, to hold the skirt, you know. Yeah, it was actually ecstatic, you know, yes. But as, you know, as we are more in mundane anxiety, of course our anxiety in the beginning stage is mixed. You know, there's a good portion of mundane anxiety and passion and what will everybody think about me and you know. So then it becomes not so blissful, you know, and in the beginning it is mixed. But then as we become purified and we try to uproot a few material attachments and weeds and all that, then the anxiety becomes more pure. And the more pure the anxiety is, the more blissful it is. And again, even on book distribution, we can also experience this, you know, in a marathon, when we try to fulfill our quota. And, oh, there's anxiety there, my God, definitely, you know. But they are usually the most happy moments, you know. Especially if that anxiety is pure and not just, oh, will I be the number one or somebody else will be number one. So then it is not so pure anxiety, and then we may also feel some negative, you know, emotions there, or we get envious, or he distributed 10 books more than me, let me go out again in the middle of the night just to make sure I'm the number one or something, you know. So yes, but as the anxiety becomes more pure and solely around Krishna's and Prabhupada's pleasure, you know, it will be more and more blissful. So yes, if we're looking for, you know, a situation of no anxiety, then we've joined maybe the wrong movement here, you know. So, and actually, Prabhupada also explains in that morning walk how the Mayavadis try to become free of anxiety. And that's why they want to merge, you know, in Brahman, because they think this is a position with no anxiety. They get frustrated and tired of mundane anxiety, and therefore, oh, Shanti, Shanti, all I want is Shanti. So, and then they want to merge. So when I read this morning walks discussion first time, that's when I realized why the Mayavadis are so attracted in this merging. You know, I could never work it out. I was thinking, well, what's there so attractive about merging? But when I read this morning walk discussion, I realized, yeah, that's what it is. You know, they're tired of the mundane anxiety, and therefore they want to escape that. And they think the only way how they can be free of anxiety is to be merging in the impersonal Brahman, rather than understanding, no, let me redirect the anxiety, you know. And love is always connected with anxiety. Will the beloved be satisfied? How can I please the beloved? you know. So it's part of love, anxiety, you know. All right, so time is up. Do we have maybe one quick question? Okay. Can we swing Gornitai? Well, I haven't come across this. No. I know in one letter Prabhupada says Jagannath cannot be on the swing. And Gornitai. I mean, I have never come across this. So let's better not introduce new ideas here. You know? And ultimately, you know, Gornitai are there in Radha Krishna. You know? Maybe they can swing Radha Krishna. Well, let's not speculate, you know. The one of the dangerous things in deity worship is to speculate and introduce new things and come up with novel ideas, you know. So no, better not. Better not. And if you have Lord Nrsingadev here, then also better not to put him on the swing, because he is the Ugra one probably, and not the peaceful one. You know, so I simply thought I share this with you, but yeah, let's not take it further than that. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, you know, our anxiety, of course, in our neophyte stage is not purely centered around Krishna's pleasure, but there's a good portion of false ego in there, you know, that I want to look successful and great, and what will everybody think, and has to be my way, the controller, and you know. So that's why our anxiety is not so blissful, because there's a good portion of mode of passion in it, you know, and passion always ends in distress, you know. So, I mean, how pure our anxiety is for Krishna also manifests in our cooperation with others, you know. If we actually are simply interested for Krishna's pleasure, then it will not be difficult for us to cooperate with others who may have other ideas how Krishna is pleased and you know. So, but if there's friction and tension and arguments and our anxiety, you know, then obviously it shows it is not such a pure anxiety. And I mean, we have maybe that practical experience that as soon as the service situation becomes more intense, there's usually more tension amongst the devotees, you know. So, because the purifying flame is switched on high, you know, intense service situation. So, and there, all kinds of stuff comes up. You know, our anarthas become more visible. We may think, oh, you know, doing all this service at the temple just creates negativity and tension. I'll better stay aloof and up on the side. But then we are missing out on the purification. Because it's not, the issue is not the temporal situation and the service, but the issue is what we have in our hearts. And that comes out when the service situation is more intense, you know. So there we can see that's an indication how pure our anxiety for Krishna is, you know, or whether it's just we want to dominate and control and has to be my way and no other way and so on, you know. And that's the whole thing in the spiritual world. There's unlimited numbers of living entities, all working in complete harmony. There is hierarchy there, of course. There's all kinds of group leaders who have assistants, and they have assistants, and they have assistants. So, and that's why we say we should become the servant of the servant of the servant. So this is not just some lip service here we are saying, but no, that's the mood in the spiritual world. And if we want to enter there one day, we have to cultivate that mood, So, and we are practicing here, Yes. So yeah, that comes in my mind, that our difficulty in cooperation shows that it is not pure anxiety, So again, that's why we have Vaishnava etiquette and culture, how to deal with each other and, to accept the seniors or those who have a managerial position and to be humble servant and. So it's a very practical thing, which we also will discuss next Sunday in the False Ego seminar, which we will have, even though you may all be busy with Sunday feast cooking or something. But yeah, false ego gets into our way and makes the cooperation difficult and so, and it's a very practical solution whenever we are facing an unwanted situation. Good to make these 2 steps back and ask ourselves, what is happening here? Am I trying to be a humble servant, or am I trying to be master and controller and enjoyer here? And then we realize, if we are humble servant, then there is no problem. So being a humble servant is actually the solution to all problems between devotees, But it requires some introspection, some reflection, being honest to oneself, to others, really see, what am I trying to do here, And sometimes we may not be able to recognize, so that's why we need a mentor. That's why we need a counselor who can guide us, who is our dear, most well-wishing friend, who has no other interest except helping us in our spiritual journey, and who we want to be corrected by. So that well-wishing friend can say, hey, just cool it down a bit, you're a bit too much on a false ego trip here, just relax, because we ourselves, we may not be able to detect that, Yes. Okay, so we'll finish on that note. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanande, Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, then I can take that now. You don't have a harmonium with scale change?
Yeah, we have one that.
I prefer that, yeah, because it's a little high. If it's not too much trouble to get it, is it too far?
No, it's in the.
Okay, quickly. That's all. Harmonium with scale change? Because it's a little high for me and I'm not expert enough to play lower. I need the scale change.
Yeah, I know. That's what.
Hang on, we're waiting for the harmonium. Yeah, for the scale change. Is that kept for special occasions or something? Is it? Oh my God. Well, rather, Julian Yatra should be a special occasion. Okay. Oh yeah, that looks more fancy. Can you put it up for me? Probably you could use it for Julian Yatra also in the evening, you know? The better one for special occasion. Oops. Oops. Jaya Madhava Kandabiyare. Slowly. Jaya Madhava Yashoda Nandara Vajjanarandana Yashadanandana Tajanandana Yamuna